Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Bahrain Now. With me, your host, Bara Abdulla. We've got a great show coming up featuring great local talents, initiatives, and happenings from around the kingdom. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, to a very interesting talk, as they've been founded in 1984 and part of the Ogilvy Worldwide Network MEMAC. Ogilvy is the most local of the international agencies and the most international of the local agencies with 11 offices in the MENA region. Their vision is pretty much making brands matter through modern marketing solutions and combining passion for the deep expertise across communication disciplines. To speak more about that, we are honored to have with us here the CEO of MEMAC Ogilvy in the MENA region, Mr. David Fox. Well, good evening. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
I am great and pretty excited to hear the story behind all of that and to see the masters themselves of the advertising and creative agencies. You've pretty much been, like I would say, impacting the world with your creativity.
Thank you.
So tell us more about the agency, sir.
So so it's an interesting story in the MENA region. We're now 11 offices, as you said, over 500 people. I think the most interesting thing is that we launched here in Bahrain in 1984.
Wow.
And so in 1984, our founder, who sadly passed away a year ago last February,
Sorry to
Mr.
hear
Eddie
that.
Mitran, who's a bit of a legend in the region and globally for advertising.
Right.
Back in 1984, had one client and $13,000 in his pocket.
Wow.
And decided to start the MEMAC Ogilvy Group out of here in Bahrain. So it's a good story. It's a homeland of our brand for the MENA region.
Wow.
And he went on to be a very successful entrepreneur and then eventually sold his business to Ogilvy, hence the MEMAC Ogilvy. And here we are today, a very successful business, one of the leading businesses in the MENA region, and globally Ogilvy at the moment is the most creative network in the world for advertising. So
Wow.
it's an amazing story, and it's great to be here in Bahrain where it all started. It's fantastic.
It is,
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
great.
And pretty much going through the profile, see all the work that's been done, I'm like, oh my God.
Yes, there's
a lot has been done.
A lot of famous brands, and we're lucky to have a lot of famous clients. So we're very
Right.
lucky to have great clients. We're nothing without our clients.
Right.
And so I think we're lucky to work on some of the biggest brands in the world and the region, which gives us the platform to create the great work. So it's brilliant. We're really happy with it.
I love that. You know, for a lot of people, when they say, oh, creative agency, or we talk about marketing, advertising, but you've pretty much been tapping into everything.
Yeah.
So a little bit about your services, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the changing landscape, there's been a digital revolution.
Right.
I mean, let's face it. So in the old days, we used to make an ad and place it on TV. It's a very simpler world.
Pretty much.
These days, we have platforms, Facebook, Google.
Yeah.
We have all those types of things. We have YouTube. Here we are, right, on YouTube,
Right.
which is fantastic. So for an agency to continue its growth, or any company to continue its growth, and to help its clients solve its problems, we have to diversify our services. So yes, we still do advertising, but we also do digital and PR and consulting and focus on health and social.
Right.
If you look at this
Right.
region, social is a huge part
It is.
of any marketing. Right? Everyone's on social media. Everyone's got their phones out. And so I think social is a huge part of how you build a brand, as is understanding platforms and talking to people. So it's kind of like helping our clients solve their growth issues
Right.
by looking at how do I reach a consumer in a meaningful way with the right message. That's what we're trying to do.
Wow, it just
So
seems
you have
like
to be broad, right? You can't just be what you used to do.
totally. And it seems from the ways you've been pretty much doing things, there's a lot of R&D takes place behind the scenes,
Absolutely.
right? What works and what doesn't.
Yes.
And now we've been going through a lot of trends,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
in advertising. Where are we right now with all the advertising trends and what is happening now? Because I cannot keep up.
Right, it is hard to keep up. I'll tell you, probably one of the biggest ones at the moment is a lot of brands and their advertising is talking about purpose. Okay, so are you just a brand that sells stuff, or do you have a greater purpose? This is an important point, because as a generation comes through of millennials, they want to work for companies who don't just sell stuff, who have something greater meaning in the world. Now,
Right.
whether you agree with that or not, this is the way it's heading. So Nike has been doing it for a long time. You know, if you remember, they've been purpose-driven. But if you look at that campaign, you know, they did a campaign with Colin Kaepernick after he took a knee, and their share price plummeted. People stepped away.
Okay.
And then they doubled down on it, and the share price went back up. So they had great drive. But Nike have always been doing it. So if you look at a lot of brands across the region, we just did all the work for Expo. So the advertising and PR.
Oh, we saw that.
And I think that was very purpose-driven. Join the making of a new world is a fantastically purpose-driven call to action. And there's no better time to join the making of a new world as we sit post-COVID, or hopefully post-COVID, and what's happening in Europe, right? We need a calling together. So I think brands with purpose that communicate with purpose are going to attract the best talent. So we've got to realise in our business, we don't make widgets, we don't have a factory, we only have people. It's their ideas that create the work. So if we can't attract young talent, the whole creative advertising industry is going to fail. It's going to suffer. So we need to attract those people and understand that we need to work with clients who have a greater purpose than just selling stuff. Right? Sustainability is another one. So look at one of the pillars of the 2030 strategy for Bahrain is sustainability. So everybody's looking for what sustainable way you can build their companies and the supply chain and things like that. So we work with a lot of clients on sustainability, on building brand purpose that's relevant to their brand. And that's kind of the latest trends, I think, that are coming forward. You can see it across a lot of communications, and you see it mostly at award shows, right? When you see all the advertising together, you notice that brands are trying very hard to take a role in culture that's broader than just selling stuff. It's about their purpose as a brand. So interesting. Not all of them get it right, however. Some of them get it wrong, and when they get it wrong, it's ugly. So we try and work with our clients to make sure it's relevant, on point for the brand, and consumers can see the connection between the purpose and the brand. That's the key point. I think Nike is probably held up as the best version of that, in my opinion.
Not only that, I mean, you know, when I saw some of the Expo's 2020 work, and I'm like, this is brilliant. And I'm like, wait, it's Mac. Of course. You guys got it right. You guys got it right. And you know, it's very interesting of what you said right now, how that we have to have a purpose and a meaning today. You know, with the new generation and all of that, and just in different platforms, whether it's on YouTube, it's a different kind of approach. If it's Instagram, it's a different kind of approach. And then if it's a TikTok, if it's different platforms, TV, radio, they all have a different culture. And just to understand that, you have to actually understand all of that. You have different committees for every platform. Is just a lot of work, but it's apparently a really exciting one as well at the same time. So it seems you pretty much saw it all.
It's interesting. I think I was talking to the guys this morning.
Yeah.
If you look at all those platforms you just talked about,
right.
A guy I used to work with, our head of digital in London, used to say it's old needs and new behaviour. I still need to share my photos, but today I just do it on Instagram. I don't go to a slide night. I still want to connect with friends, but I do it on Facebook at a global level, not locally. I still want to meet a friend, so I go to an app. I still want to catch a cab, but instead of ringing and hope one turns up, I get an Uber and I can see where it's arriving. And so the human need is the same. The way we access and solve that need is fundamentally different, much more efficient, much better. And so the thing is that those platforms also want to have advertising on them to fund them, right? And so we would always say the following, that if you want to create a brand, you need two things. You need fame and you need function. Fame, very simple. You know, how do you build a brand that's famous? So whether we like it or not, advertising is probably not where it used to be because media spend has changed. But people still love to watch Super Bowl ads. People still wait for the John Lewis ad in the UK at Christmas time, right? And so advertising still plays a role in Heartland if it's culturally right. But then the question is, how do you deliver that message through function? In other words, through Facebook, through Google, through YouTube, through your mobile phone. So if you get fame and function together, you get a pretty good chance of building a very a strong, long-term and relevant brand.
Wow.
And it's good fun.
It is. I feel like I'm getting like an advertising crash course right now, 101, by Mr. David himself right here. This is such an honor. So ever since 1984, and Bahrain have seen a lot of changes, the MENA region have seen a lot of changes, and at some point you can see something, some of the agencies would like to see what's happening out of the Middle East and try to bring it over here and give it like more of a Middle Eastern jacket to it, a touch, but it doesn't always work. And where we have our own culture here and what's going on. From your perspective of what's happening in the Middle East, what is your perception of the advertising scene over here?
So it's a very, I would take the markets of the MENA region and say that a lot of them are vastly different. What keeps us, the word MENA, right? So culturally they're different, some are the same, and so I think, again, I go back to fame and function, right? And you look at tactical opportunities like Ramadan.
Right.
All our clients want to advertise in Ramadan.
Oh, totally.
It's a culturally significant time, and you'll find a lot of brands advertising at that time. It's never a more busy time leading up to Ramadan.
Right.
And so what we're trying to do with those brands is put them into the culture of that country or the Middle East and make people feel that they have an affinity with that brand, not force fit it. Right. It needs to be relevant. If it's force fit, it won't work. And so I still think, and if I'm critical of any any of the markets around the world, and it's not just the MENA region. You know, it's tactical short-termism kills brands. It's lazy marketing. It's doing tactics of short term. It's the word building. You need to build a brand over time, right? Like you build a beautiful city over time or a house over time. And so brand building, I worry, is a lost art because the function side gives you a strong return on investment, which CEOs want to say, you're spending $1, where's the return? Fame advertising is very difficult sometimes to judge where that return is. So the function's quite good. Right? Let's focus on function. If we're focusing on that too much, you'll lose the bigger picture. People still want to have an emotional connection to a brand. It's like we're friends, right? I have an emotional connection to you. I want to have an emotional connection with the brand. If I don't show that connection, if I don't demonstrate it through traditional ways, I lose that connection. It becomes functional. Humans are irrational creatures. We have relationships with brands and with each other and whatever. And you want to keep that. So you need an emotional connection. That's what brands should play a role. Successful brands like Nike. Keep talking about Nike.
Yeah, I'm actually a big fan of that.
I'm a fan. I've been a fan of their advertising for a long time because they're quite brave and bold. Everyone talks about being brave and bold. They actually do it. And they do it purposely. So I think they've done a fantastic job in doing that. So I think that's a good example that hopefully you got guys watching this will get. But I think that's in essence, you know, how do you build a brand over time? And it's hard. If you put yourselves in the shoes of a client, the media world is splintered. You've got to try and put your bets somewhere, right? It's a difficult world. We try and help them navigate that as best we can.
Pretty much.
But it's a tough world out there trying to manage a brand. And we'd always say that building modern brands is a team sport. You need lots of people around to help because it's so experts in Facebook or YouTube or consumption on platforms. It's difficult. So challenging times, but fun times at the same time.
I mean, hearing it from a person like yourself who've been around the world, you know, between London, Australia, and all over the world and the globe, in the Middle East, hearing this right now, I would say it's an amazing eye-opener for all of us just to see what's really happening behind the scenes and how some brands and some agencies, some companies just don't want to, I always say don't want, but pretty much don't put enough time to understand the cultures and the purpose behind what's going on. So I totally see that. Well, thank you so much for the insight. Now, what about the pandemic, COVID? That changed a lot, right? I mean, it was a big hit.
It did.
From your perspective, I mean, how did you cope with that, and what did it present as an opportunity?
Well, if you think of it, so we would call ourselves a bellwether industry, right?
Okay.
And so we're marketing spend. A lot of CEOs would see us as a luxury. Pandemic comes, cut straight away.
Right.
Okay, we're the first to cut. So bellwether, we're the first ones to feel it, and the first ones to come out the other side. So if you look at media across the MENA region, there was an instantaneous, almost 25% drop in media spend. Right? And so if you're in the airline business, the travel business, while COVID's on, you don't have a business. There's no point in communicating at that time. If you then go through and you notice what happened in the pandemic, a massive increase in consumer spend on platforms, Amazon, Noon. And so if you look at the MENA region, actually sales on platforms, people were bored, right? Well, I might get something delivered to my home.
Pretty much,
treat myself to something nice.
Like myself.
Yes, exactly right. We all did it. So those platforms grew exponentially, therefore advertising followed onto those platforms as well where possible. And then now I'm happy to say, as I'm hoping we come out of this pandemic in the region, you know, no more PCR tests in a lot of markets, is that we're getting inquiries from airlines and tourism businesses across the region say, right, what's the new normal? How do we present our brand in a different way? We talked to an airline and they said, we used to set up a route in 8 months, now we do it in 8 weeks, because if that market shuts, we've got to turn. And so it's the, dare I say it, the pivoting, the most used word during the pandemic, of those airlines to move quickly. So I think for us, it was a difficult time to manage. Our revenue went down, but we managed to hold on as best we could to everybody. And remember, our people are the factory. They're the people that make the great ideas, and we're nothing without the people. So we managed through it. There was people worse off than us, right? So you've got to be grateful for that. You'll be grateful for that. But now we're coming through. So I think it was just 2020. 2021, we started to come back. This year we can feel the momentum. So ad spend came back at force. It dropped significantly. In 2019, it was 5.6% growth. In 2021, it went up by 12.6% in this region. So over doubled. So there's vengeance coming back in the spend.
If you put it that way.
So we want to get back out. And
everybody wants to go there like hungry for
let's
stuff.
Get back. We're thirsty to get back to a normal life. Right? That's what we want. And sometimes brands have to reflect that in culture so we can feel like things are getting normal again.
Amazingly said. I mean, as what we see right now in Bahrain, and even when we went to Abu Dhabi and Dubai and see what's happening in Saudi, everybody's like, okay, now we're back.
Yes.
Let's get back to, I would say, a little bit of the old and the new norm, and just figure out this new culture and just make it happen. So apparently you guys are in, pretty much, and you know what's happening, and just gotta make the most out of it.
We do research, and we look at research from WPP, who's our holding company. But at the end of the day, airlines, travel industries, they're the ones at the cutting edge because people are nervous about flying, right? Whether it's to get COVID or their flight's going to, or they're going to lose their money.
Right.
And so there's been a little bit of holdback. But I noticed that, airlines are starting to come back and make money again and fly and open up the routes, which I think is fantastic. So that to me is a demonstration that things are coming back. I hope I'm not putting the mocker on.
No, you actually, everything you said was really interesting. I'm so glad we're having this talk. Although we can go, like you said, for hours. But any last words for your viewers?
No, look, I just say that, I think that advertising is coming back is a positive sign for everyone who's watching. I hope we can move forward in a way that's positive. I think, again, there's a generation coming through. I talked about the fact that there's certain generation coming through that don't need direct reports or teams to be leaders. I think there's a lot of young, confident people coming through.
Right.
The brands that operate in this region have to attract those young people, otherwise we lose them out of the region. They go to London, they go to New York. And so I think it's understanding the behaviour of those people about purpose, about your company, and about what they do, and to have a company that has a bigger ideal than just selling stuff. And that's why I think you keep very smart people in this region. They want to come and work in this region. That's what we want. We want smart people running and operating the MENA region so these countries achieve their 2030 vision or their 2040 vision or their 2050 vision. And so I think we play a small role in that with brands. You play a role in that in sort of driving culture as well, I think.
Right.
But that's what we all have to work together to try and keep the great talent in this region so it grows all those countries and makes this region one of the highlights of the world. That's what we want to achieve.
Amazingly said, sir. It felt like a, like I said, a crash course, a bit of TED Talk and all that in one place. Such a delight and a pleasure, sir. It's been a great honor having you with us here in Bahrain Now. And I know we're in great hands when it comes to advertising and pretty much give purpose to the brands and just give us a better impact on our culture.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, of course, this is a testimony that the marketing and advertising scene continue to flourish here in the Kingdom of Bahrain and around the MENA region. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more happening here on Bahrain Now. And now, ladies and gentlemen, into another interesting talk with a very interesting person who firmly believes in the power of self-healing, a seeker of life force mastery, aims to inspire others to have more vital energy through his vast knowledge, experiences, and practices. With us in the studio is Mr. Teodor Ardelano to talk about his second book, as we have here, Tai Chi, The Path Towards Self-Healing. So, Mr. Teodor, how are you?
Very good. Well, thank you. I'm happy to be back.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Second book, right? Or may I say Shifu at this point?
Thank you very much, yes.
So
Sure.
I've been going through the book again, and it's been very, very interesting. A lot of things going on over there, things that I would love to have in my life. And not only me, I'm sure even the viewers right now want to know more about that. Tell us more about the Tai Chi and your second approach with the second book.
So following the first book, The Key Train Method, where I had a chapter about Tai Chi, and Tai Chi is, of course, part of the Key Train Method, I decided to develop on that chapter and come up with a second book about how Tai Chi can benefit us. Okay.
Amazing.
And the book is about the benefits of Tai Chi, and it's a blend between a philosophical approach to Tai Chi and the practical aspect that any of us can practice in a daily life.
Right, and we need that. We really need that. As I've been seeing, you've been doing a lot here in Bahrain and around the world, and people like to speak highly of you and what you've been doing in changing lives, and as they've been channeling their energy and pretty much more with terminologies right now, chakra, and all of that. So going through your book, there was like a lot of things about dissolving ego. That the first thing that caught my attention, I'm like, dissolve, yes. Tell us more about that.
Ego is an obstacle for people to learn, and Tai Chi is the embodiment of humility. And when we practice Tai Chi, we have to always think about the connection between the body and the mind.
Right.
We want to change our thoughts, we want to change our emotions, but we don't want to make any changes with our body. And that is sometimes not possible. I'm not saying it's impossible, but sometimes we have to act on the body. And
Right.
Tai Chi is a very practical approach to relax and become humble.
Yes.
And the first move in any Tai Chi form is relaxing. And when you relax, you lower your shoulders.
Okay. let me lower my
Lowering your
shoulders.
shoulders, lowering your shoulders and relaxing your neck will put you in a state of receiving information, of listening. And that is a contradiction with having a big ego, because having an ego means you're not listening, you know it all. So being humble means you are ready to learn again, and you are always ready to learn. You know?
I love that. I love that. Now I'm gonna lower my shoulder. I'm gonna relax my neck because right now I'm with the master Shifu himself, Mr. Theodore, telling us more about Tai Chi. You know, thing is with my friends and all that, and you know, sometimes we go a little bit, you know, we talk smack and we goof around. It's like, oh, Tai Chi mean Keanu Reeves, we know Kung Fu. Like, no man, we're gonna talk about the actual balance and relaxation. Now, as you said, in Tai Chi, there is more into the fact of how can you focus. So tell us more about that.
Right. Every day we are bombarded with information.
Right.
And in fact, our daily life is bombarded with information through news, social media, TV, and news, and it's all about information. It's an excess of information.
Right.
We have too much.
We do have too much.
And because we have too much, we don't have always the capability to filter, and we get information that we don't need, right? So when we learn how to focus our body, we learn how to focus our mind as well into the right information that we need. So for example, if we are in a party, let's say, and there are many people talking, laughing, you know, if you're trying to listen to everyone, it's practically impossible.
Right.
That's an analogy for life. You wake up in the morning and you have a lot of things happening around. And if you don't practice the power of focus, the power of attention, then you will be at the mercy of who wants to send you the information.
Very interesting.
Or, in other words, mind control.
Right.
So when you learn how to become the master of your attention, you become your master, your own master, and you can have the information that you want. And if somebody wants to tell you something you don't want, you can just switch to another direction, having this power to, you know, to have your own attention.
That's a superpower.
It is a superpower.
It's a superpower.
In our daily lives of today, it is a superpower.
You know, as you just said it yourself, like every day we go in, whether it's work, in a relationship, whether it's a marriage, with your kids, at school, or anywhere in this world right now, as you walk in, we are at so many times at mercy of people giving us information, and all of a sudden we get affected, it gets under our skin, and now they pretty much direct where we go and how we react to things. But you're telling me with the art of Tai Chi and relaxation and focusing and putting my shoulders down, it's that we can actually focus on what we want.
Yes. The body is the shadow of the mind. So if you learn how to focus your body in a certain direction, your mind will follow. If your body is scattered and you're sending your energy in different places in the same time, of course your mind will also be scattered. The mind travels in time and in space. Some people think about the past, some people plan too much and they're only living in the future, what they will do in the future. Some think about home, wherever is home, to another country. Some things about going somewhere, and the mind continuously travels. When you practice Tai Chi, even if you practice for half an hour, the practice, because of the complexity of the art, it makes you come back into your body.
Okay.
And the mind comes back to your body from wherever the mind is. And through practice, through daily practice of half an hour, 45 minutes every day, you manage to get the power of getting your mind back into your body at will. You know,
I love this. I have no idea. Like me and everybody like now listening to you, sir, it's like, again, having full control over our mind and our body. It's a superpower today. You think we have that, but a lot of people just don't understand that we kind of lost control of ourselves. So
yeah, I mean, just think about last time you went to a restaurant,
right,
and you look around and you see everybody's hooked up on their phone,
right,
and they don't have the power to just leave the phone down, close the phone, and be there, because they're always there. And unfortunately, with technology, we are forced to always go somewhere else with the mind. You know, the mind travels through technology right now.
Crazy. As pretty much Lisa said right now, as with all the social media and platforms over there working, and they are seeking your attention, and they are all about how they can engineer in a way that they always have your dopamine level at its max.
Yes, yeah, of course.
And you can become addicted to that dopamine feeling, whether it's a like or a comment or something like that,
Of
losing
course.
control of your mind.
Of course.
But when you have control of your mind, you have full control. And then bring us to another topic, which you were talking about, relaxation.
Yes. Relaxing, and again, I have to make a difference.
Okay.
In Tai Chi, we talk about two types of muscles in the body. We talk about the active muscles, and in the same time we talk about the static muscles.
Okay.
The static muscles are the muscles that sustain our body when like for example, right now I'm not moving, I'm just standing, right? So these are the core muscles. The action muscle, the active muscles, are the muscles that, you know, I take this, I put it here, I move this pillow here. So this is the conscious mind. The static muscle are direct connected to your subconscious mind. With Tai Chi, because we move very slowly, we need to involve the static muscles, which are directly linked to your subconscious mind. And when you relax and you say, okay, I'm going to sit on the sofa, I'm going to watch a movie, I'm going to have some popcorn, have a drink, and I'm relaxing.
Right.
That is not the same relaxation that I'm talking about with Tai Chi.
Huh.
In Tai Chi, I want to relax the static muscles, the muscles that support our body, and they keep us against gravity to walk, to stand, right? So when we practice Tai Chi, we strengthen these muscles and we become really, really powerful.
Okay.
The active muscles, when you go to the gym and you start working in the gym, you will have some muscles.
Right.
And then you stop working in the gym and the muscles will deflate, or they'll become fat, or they will not be, because you have to always work on them. It's not the same with the static muscles. The static muscles are stronger, more durable, and they provide you with a different type of strength. And this is where the relaxation comes. There's another thing about the relaxation. Relaxation in Tai Chi comes through the practice of moderation.
Okay, yeah.
And the moderation in Tai Chi is about understanding that you don't have to stretch out too much. And means what? It means if I practice for, let's say, 1 hour Tai Chi, I can practice it, I may stand, yeah?
Okay,
I can practice it on a very, very low stance.
Oh, look at that.
Very, very low stance. But that puts a lot of pain and effort.
Right.
So I worked on a 70-80%. So that, working at this 70-80% all the time, it gives me the cushion of energy that I need to always be energetical and never be tired.
Right.
So you can apply this in food. Instead of eating a full meal, you eat 80%. You can apply this in work. Instead of doing too many hours of work, you can be more efficient and work the necessary work. And so on and so forth. You can apply the law of moderation in everything, and that provides you with relaxation.
I love that. I love that. So pretty much it's tapping into the whole lifestyle and all the details that we don't really focus on in our lives. Now knowing that these are the most important parts, those small steps that creates the whole wholesome of who we are really when it comes to our lifestyle.
Yes.
And now through the power and the teachings of Tai Chi, pretty much we got to learn all of that. Now the thing is about Tai Chi, I mean, can we own this? Can we learn anywhere? Is it like certain things we have to go through that?
There are different stages of learning, and I will describe the stages of learning. The first stage of learning is learning the routine.
Okay.
You move, you learn one move, two moves, three moves, you learn how to put them together, and you're consciously thinking about it. When you pass this stage of learning and it becomes automatic,
Right.
this is when the benefits start coming into place.
Okay.
I'll give you an analogy. Learning a language,
Yes.
a new language, not
Yes.
your native language. So your native language is Arabic, right?
Right.
When you learn English, English becomes your second language.
Pretty much.
But it's not your native language.
No,
It
it's
is not in your emotional side of the brain. It is in your logical side of the brain because you learn it after you learn your first native language. Now, if you start dealing in English with everything, slowly you start thinking in English. So if I ask you a question, you don't have to translate it in Arabic and then in English back, right?
Right.
It's the same with Tai Chi. The first stage of learning, it's in the logical side of the brain. The second stage of learning, it's transferred into the emotional side of the brain, and it becomes
Okay.
your second nature.
Okay.
And the benefits of Tai Chi come in that stage, not in the first stage. And that's why many people do not have the patience to go through the first level of. For some it takes 1 month, for some it takes 1 year, for some it takes forever.
Right.
But this is the psychological barrier, obstacle that many people don't manage to pass through.
Wow. You made it beautifully simple when you said it's like learning a language. And
It's pretty much.
I've been pretty much learning English for such a period, and now I'm going to a third, and now I get to feel exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
It just takes a lot of time until it becomes a subconscious thing that I think in that language. Same thing with Tai Chi.
Correct. Tai Chi, same as learning a second or a third language, is a very good antidote for Alzheimer's diseases. It's actually one of the benefits. People that do Tai Chi do not get Alzheimer's because they keep using their left and right side of the brain all the time. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go with that. Let's go with that. You know, sir, this definitely is a very interesting talk, and you gave us a demonstration on the side, and that was like, oh my God, we have some action going on and all that, and we have the orb right here, the yin yang going on.
Right.
and
Yeah.
all that.
I brought these to explain the concept of Tai Chi.
Right.
So Tai Chi, as you know, everybody knows, recognizes this is the three-dimensional representation of the yin and yang that we usually see on a paper, right? So Tai Chi means the great concept or the way.
Right.
And it is the yin and yang imbalance.
Okay.
Yin and yang imbalance means that no matter what happens to us, we will sort it out,
We'll sort it out.
right? Now, Tai Chi Chuan is a martial art. Tai Chi just by itself is a philosophy of life. It's the greatest concept of life. So that's why I wanted to bring it up.
And we learned a lot today, apparently. Amazing. Well, Sarah, I know we can go forever with this. It's an amazing lifestyle, and we are really happy to see you here again. And we need more of you in this world. Like, we need copies of Theodore's everywhere. It's like pretty much spreading the word and make it happen and just bring like a lot of cultures together in one place. But before you leave us, if you could give us like last words or an advice, what would that be?
If you want to be the master of your free will, start practicing Tai Chi. And I will tell you why. The habits of life are like a very high-speed momentum. We don't have time to make choices. And my advice for everyone is, instead of looking at Tai Chi with the image that it is in the world, that is for old people, sick people, actually Tai Chi is for people that want to have their freedom. And that it's for people that want to have their free will back. And that you do it by slowing down. When you slow down with your body, you have time to make decisions. And that's what we don't do. That's why we make fast decisions, emotional decisions, and we don't have time, and then we regret, and then we go into a loop, and again and again and again. Slowing down is for everyone, not only for old people. So my advice and my recommendation is for everyone to try Tai Chi if they want to become the masters of their lives.
Wow. Amazingly said. Well, Mr. Theodore, this has been definitely an honor and a delight having you with us right here again on Bahrain Now. And for your third book, or maybe for another session, we'll have you here again and again and again. We can't have enough of you, sir, that's for sure.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's been a great pleasure having you with us right here on Bahrain Now.
Thank you.
Most definitely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it yourself by Shifu Theodore. You want to be the master of your free will? try Tai Chi. All that took place right here in an interview on Bahrain Now. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go more into the talks of energy and healing, as we have Akasha Holistics, an energy-based shop that specializes in crystal healing and modern apothecary. To talk about us more with this, here in the studio we have Layal Mahmoud. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great. I am pretty much excited to know more about it. You know, when it comes to energy healing and all that kind of stuff, and with, you know, getting crystals and the frequencies and all of that through, I would say, a new way, a new wave of things that we are not really, I would say, exposed to, but now it's becoming more trending. Tell us more about that.
Okay, I think the best way to start with it, and when we talk about anything that is like, that has to do with energy healing, is to go back to us as the human body. So a small example is, if I was to take away my arms, I am still a human.
Right.
If you were to take away my other arm, I am still a human. I am still present. If you were to take away a lot of my body parts, there is an essence to me that is still here, that is engaging with you, right?
Right.
And that is the best way that I can describe energy. It is the essence of us as humans, whether you want to call it a soul, an energy, your spirit. It is your essence. And when it comes to energy healing and crystals and herbs, which is the apothecary side, it is the belief that everything has an energy.
Okay.
The moon, the sun, the herbs, the crystals, because they do come from earth, right? So they all have something that is beyond them, beyond what you see. They do radiate a specific energy. So I think that's the simplest way that I can describe what energy is.
But still deep at the same time. It's like, wow, we just went with the moon and the stars and the galaxy, and at the same time with Earth and all of that, as everything has its own energy.
Yeah.
And a lot of people maybe don't understand. It's like, oh, it just looks nice. I just put it on, right? Been to a place, to a store, and then it's like, they all looked like beautiful stuff, crystals and stuff like that. And they said, you know, I would like to have that. And it's like, did it call you? I'm like, what? Did the stone call you? I'm like, how would the stone call me? Please elaborate. So apparently there is a different kind of like waves, and I think what they're trying to say is that, did you feel good about looking at it? Did the color appeal to you? Did the wavelength reach you? So I'm like, there's a lot going on. Tell us more about that. Like, you know, different crystals, what do they do? Is there a kind of thing going on over there?
I think my favorite part is the simplicity about the process of choosing a crystal. Even though there's a lot of like complications, that, especially because it's trending right now, right? Some people be like, no, you have to choose with your zodiac sign. And this crystal might not work for you. But for me, and with my own belief system, is like, as you just said, you would go in, a customer would come to me, and I'd be like, just take your time, see which crystal you are drawn to, and I will tell you what it does. And can tell you, like 99% of the time they go like, yes, I needed that. I mean, even for me personally, there are a lot of times where I would not think of a specific crystal. I would not feel like, oh, I want it in my collection, but I would get the sudden urge to actually get this crystal. And when I do the research of what the properties are, like, oh, you know, it's exactly what I need. And it comes with the belief of our own energy, our own intuition, and trusting ourselves. So there's a lot of healing going on there, you know?
Right.
So many people come to me and they're anxious. I'm like, trust yourself. Your body, your spirit has a lot of wisdom, and you will choose what you need.
Interesting. And, you know, it's like, it started off like seeing it as part of jewelry and aesthetics, right? But then it delves more into the whole thing, that there are different ways of what this does and what that does and all that kind of stuff. And then, so how do you evaluate a person? Like, now, for example, I'm here, we're having this conversation, TV, an interview. So you're telling me right now, with your experience right now, and with your background and all of that, can you sense people's energies around you? Can you sense my energy at this point?
A lot of the time I can actually know a lot about you from the crystals that you choose. And I've been in that situation a lot, and especially in the markets where a specific customer would keep on going for the same crystal in different pieces. And if they give me the permission, I'd be like, you are struggling with this and this and this.
Wow.
And it can get quite emotional, and that's
Right.
another aspect that I love in my business, is that it has to do a lot of us healing together, right?
I mean, that is very interesting. Which brings you to this. Now, what got you into this? What sparked that thing in you? I mean, I can tell maybe at some point you had the sense, the energy and all of that, and you went more into it. But what sparked you to actually go and more specialize in this field?
It was completely random. When it came to the crystals, I've been a collector ever since I was young. I'd order crystals on a monthly basis, whether it's jewelry or actual pieces, but I never thought of making my own. I had stopped making art for a few years.
Oh, so you're into art as well, which
Yes.
makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yes, and to me, art was such an important part of my own healing journey because, again, in my belief system, creating is one of the essence of humanity. And I felt that I had stopped doing that. So I thought, let me just create something with the things that I like, which is crystals, right? And the herbs. So I just created some pieces for fun. I did not feel that confident. I was really, really anxious about it until my family and friends started ordering from me. And I was like, really, like someone wants to buy my stuff. And they kept on pushing me to start Akasha. And I never thought it would get to this point, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
What does Akasha mean?
Akasha is, so in different cultures it means something else, but when I chose it because it means all the elements of life.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Very much so. It's a wholesome name
Yes.
altogether, generic. That was very smart of you. Did you trademark it?
No.
No, you
I
should. That's a
shouldn't.
really good name, Akasha, and
Yeah.
all of that. So what's happening here? Now we've been talking about crystals, and we can
Yes.
see there's a lot of options going on, and it really got my attention.
Which one?
The big ball, the big crystal ball.
This.
Yes.
Oh, it's my favorite crystal. It's a Labradorite sphere. So
Wow.
even the shape of a crystal has an energetic meaning. Labradorite is a stone of spirituality, transformation. It's a protective stone. It's a stone for artists. When you deal with Labradorite, you're basically dealing with your crown chakra, right? The connection to the universe.
Okay.
So it allows you to heighten your intuition and your connection with yourself. Just to put it into like, it's a very spiritual stone. Like other ones are for calming, and there might be ones that are for courage if you have anxiety. But Labradorite has more to do with spirituality and people who are very artistic.
Okay.
That's the way I view it. Of course, the crystal has a lot of properties, not just a few things.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. There's a lot going on over here. Swear to God. It's like, I mean, I never thought one day I'm going to have this talk on TV, and now here we are.
Neither did
There's
I.
a first time for everything, that's for sure.
Yes.
So he said there is like crystals, or there is like property for courage. There is property for confidence. And that all has to do with how the crystals play with your energy levels.
It's
Is it
the
like
energy.
observe or they give?
Some crystals observe, so the protective crystals could observe the negative energy around you. We interact with different types of energy every day. So the protective crystals, typically the black ones, would observe, right? And then there are other crystals that radiate the energy. And again, it depends on the shape. So a sphere would be radiating all over the space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Because of the pretty much how it's shaped.
Yeah.
No, there's a word I wanted to use, but good thing I didn't use it right now because it's like I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce it. But because of the shape and the sphere. Interesting. So now in your case, do you have your own preference or what kind of stones you want to have around you?
Oh, I have, my preference are raw crystals, spheres and raw crystals, because raw is like the natural form of the crystal. It's like pure energy. So it's just and it changes from time to time. Again, trusting the body and how the body chooses what type of energy it needs around it, right? And another really important part was a lot of people would ask me, how do I cleanse my crystals? Because as we said, they absorb the energy.
Wow. They have to be
Like
cleansed.
me and you do, like, you know, when you're around someone stressful and you're just taking all the energy and you're just like, oh, I feel yucky. It's the same thing. So a lot of the times, most of the crystals need to be cleansed, and that's when actually it became my best-selling product. I started doing the modern apothecary, which is the energetic properties in each, like herbs, like the flowers and the sage and all of that. And I started making my own for people to use to cleanse the crystals themselves, their space.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. There is a lot going on over here.
Yes.
And it's trending now more than ever.
Yeah.
There is a reason for that?
I think especially with the younger generation, and it's quite beautiful that they've become more aware of it, right? Just, they're more aware of mental health, they're more aware of even the term healing, right? And the self-care and using the things that are available for them to heal. And with that came the crystals. But unfortunately, what happened is, and what is currently happening is there's a lot of fake crystals.
Fake crystals, wow, of course.
Anything that is
demand.
trending, it's in demand. So some people might not even know that they're fake, you know? They would see it's a trending thing to go into business in, and it's not easy to spot a fake crystal unless you're experienced.
Right.
Yeah, and it could get quite sad because I've had a lot of customers come to me that were seeking them for their healing properties, right? If you're looking for the aesthetics, it's fine. But if you're actually, it's like you're seeking a medicine and then you get like an empty bottle.
Well, you said it yourself right now, you're into the modern apothecary.
Yes.
Really appreciate that. Now, we can go more and more with this, but if you're gonna leave us like with an advice or a statement or any last words to me and the viewers, what would that be, Leon?
I would say that the energy world and healing world has a lot of different ways. I always tell people it's not just customers, the customers that want the crystals, people that come for the first time, I tell them, if you feel called out to get into crystal healing or herbal healing, fine. We have so much wisdom in the world to use other than this. And if this calls out to you, then they're more than welcome.
More than welcome.
Yeah.
I think we need to have a session with you later on after that.
Definitely.
Let's just see what's going on over here and see which crystal is going to be calling for us.
Yeah.
Well, Leon, this has been a very interesting talk, one of a kind, I would say, right here on Bahrain Now. And it's been a great honor having you with us right here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Most definitely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the world of crystals and energy, all that took place in an interview with Leon right here on Bahrain Now. Well, everyone, I hope you all enjoyed that episode as much as I did. Don't forget to reach us out on our social media accounts shown below and stay tuned for more happenings right here on Bahrain Now. I'm Bara Abdulla. Till next time, Bahrain, good night and God bless.